We challenge ourselves, challenge the entire industry, and challenge the way people see problems related to healthcare. And we are nowhere close to being done. Our team of over 5,700 people drives this very change in over 22 countries around the world. Every single day, we develop over 542 pharmaceutical brands that cover a wide array of ailments in the spheres of hepatology, gastroenterology, cardiovascular, pulmonary, rheumatology, and infectious diseases. Behind this success is our organization's DNA, which is built around our strong employees. We invest in our employees' dreams that grow on to become their abilities. These are the hardworking men and women of Getz Pharma who have proven their passion and promise to developing the highest standard of pharmaceutical products. Getz Pharma promotes synergy of active talent at work, which results in a single-minded commitment to produce extraordinary results and achieve the highest standards of quality in all spheres. Our unique people and process paradigm helps achieve the twin objectives of emphasis on regulatory compliance and quality on one hand, while fostering innovation and creativity on the other. We believe in constant and periodical learning. As a constantly growing...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome my colleagues in the panel here and others in the audience. I appreciate Getz Pharma for organizing this seminar and for inviting me. Now, my topic is lessons from the pandemic, building a resilient business and standing the test of time. I have some objectives here to understand how businesses have got to pivot into several channels in response to COVID-19, the role of new media in the new normal as a strategic lever for business growth, and then disease and therapeutic information dissemination as an opportunity to build patient trust. And also, I will share a case study of my own business, Pharma News. History has proved that businesses most likely to emerge from a volatile market are those that embrace readiness to adapt to changes. In a time of uncertainty like this, flexibility is critical for business survival. This means first coming to terms with the situation and then examining how to modify what used to be business as usual. We need to add value to customers or patients and drive alternative sources of revenue. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown all of us that it is necessary for every community pharmacy to embrace information technology, digital or new media, and e-commerce. Businesses which adopt such innovations gain competitive advantage in this highly competitive Nigerian market. There are many areas where business will be necessary to restructure in order to adapt to the new realities. If you typically render services in person, like a normal pharmacy, community pharmacy, then you need to turn to technology. Today's new reality is virtual, and business owners need to digitally adapt their services and uncover new ways of adding value. Just because you are out of your business office doesn't mean you should be closed for business. You can set up virtual business hours so that you can continue to provide service to your clients. Community pharmacies can offer some of their current services online. For instance, OTC products that do not require prescription can be sold to customers online. Patient counseling and consulting can be done online via the chat tools such as Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. You need to be visible on social media space. Let your customers be familiar with your social media handle. There are some areas we need to apply this new normal technology. We work from remote areas, from homes. That's what we learned. We have learned to use greater automation. We have to get technically skilled workers now. And of course, our mobile devices, heavy demand now. Video conferencing, online retailing, online learning. Many people are studying now online, doing overseas programs online. And of course, we know engagements now are all virtual. So wide application of the technology. People are now one of the largest investments for any business. So you make sure your team is structured to deliver the most value and best return on your investment. Evaluate which teams need additional support and how people can be moved from other departments to help optimize deployment of staff. You need to consider where there's work that can be shared across the team to improve efficiency of your business. Maybe it makes the most sense to trim down your staff, at least temporarily, in order to cut back on costs. But remember, human resource is the most important capital you have. On the other hand, this is equally a good time to invest on new talents to improve your business. In the area of communication, people now, more than ever, are watching how companies are responding to this pandemic. Looking at your marketing materials across channels to make sure that they are clearly indicating your business values. Maybe a current campaign is no longer relevant to the environment, or perhaps there's an opportunity to market differently. You need to look at your marketing materials and messages. Are they appropriate? Are they sensitive? Are they relevant to the situation today? Are you putting enough focus on the right channels to reach the most people? Cash is a very important aspect of our business. Do you have enough money set aside to help you not only get through the ongoing disruption to business, but to get you back and running successfully as the economy improves? You may consider getting a business loan so that you can execute your business priorities with ease. But I say this with reluctance because I have never taken a business loan. Each time I need money, God has provided. So I don't go to bank. I don't go to anybody to ask for loan. But cash is the key in any business we're doing. We need to build trust. Trust. With community pharmacies, You can reach out to both new and existing customers and then build relationship with them by disseminating information on disease prevention, treatment, and management. This can be easily done using the new media, the social media, email newsletters, blogs, as well as traditional media channels. For example, pamphlets, brochures, leaflets, and flyers. Some of these information, education, and communication materials are very descriptive, give information about diseases, and they advise caregivers. And as such, they are useful extensions of oral communication. Examples of the IEC materials include package inserts, flyers, your brochures, your pamphlets, leaflets, and so on. These IEC materials are useful in patient care to inform patients of important facts about an illness or a disease, to remind them of important lifestyle choices, and then help them to adopt better health behaviors. They are very useful for patients and clients when they visit your premises. Now, I have to use the remaining time to give case study of pharma news. In the face of COVID-19, which is ravaging the world, we know that businesses will have to adopt the new media, digital and online media, in order to remain competitive and grow. Pharma News, which I believe all of us know, that is Nigeria's premier health journal, has been in business for over 40 years. We started in May 1979, and we have published every month without interruption up to this month of July. We have circulated. And this is a record among periodicals in Nigeria. And we give thanks to God for making it so. Our journal has been through many economic recessions and booms in Nigeria. The pharmaceutical industry will not easily forget what we all suffered in the hands of the fake drug syndrome from the middle of 90s to early 20s. Many companies went down. Some actually died. During that period, Pharma News was responding to the bad economy, and we had to reduce our print run. Sorry. In 1983, in 2030, Pharma News was one of the first health media companies in Nigeria. to venture into digital media space with the establishment of its online media department to manage its website and social media presence. The company realized ab initio that the digital new media would become the future of publishing. Hence, the company started investing in this area of its business and also had to restructure its business model to accommodate the change. Today, Pharma News Online is a very important part of Pharma News and has been generating continuous revenue for the past 5 years. Pharma News now has a very strong web presence. Our website, pharmanewsonline.com, is now the leading pharma website and one of the leading health news websites in Nigeria. Recent Alexa rating has placed us the first in Nigeria. During this COVID, Pharma News quickly adapted to the COVID-19 pandemic. All our staff worked from home, and all the editions were regularly produced online as PDF versions. And it was very interesting to know that advertisers paid online because they all embraced the changes in technology during this pandemic. We also observed that all companies continue to advertise, except one company that dropped. But we warned them, please carry on. You had a special space, but they said no. And of course, we gave her the space for the whole year. And when the lockdown was eased, he had already lost that position. So sometimes we act in panic because of a situation. We should not panic. When the lockdown was relaxed, we produced and distributed all the copies. And in this way, the companies gave us their confidence. They knew that that challenge did not overwhelm us because we had already prepared ourselves for the COVID-19 season. There are a few success factors which I want to enumerate here. One, Pharma News had a clear vision, and vision comes from God. In 1978, I had a vision for Pharma News, and I wrote it down clearly in a hardcover notebook. The notebook is still with me today in my handwriting. My Bible says, where there's no vision, the people perish. Any entrepreneur must have a vision of what you want to do, where you want to go. And then ask God to guide you, to provide people who will help you to make the vision come to life. Then you need commitment to your business. Commitment and hard work. Business is not hobby. It's not a game. It's not pleasure. To me, business is business. So you have to commit your time to your business. You have to commit your resources, give them priority to the business you do. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, if God has given you a vision for your business, it is your calling, and you must keep to it. You must persevere. There will be challenges when you are doing any business, but the challenges are meant to be overcome. And actually, there are opportunities for doing something better. You need integrity. Your yes must be your yes. Your no must be your no. And for level small business we are, the business reflects your character and your integrity. In fact, the staff under you will start behaving like you. If you tell lies, they will tell lies. And business cannot build trust. So we need integrity. Don't make promise which you cannot fulfill. When you promise, you have to fulfill. And you have to work in the area of your talents and giftings. Talents and giftings from God. He has given us, each and every one, special talents for special services. When you key into your own talent, it is for you to discover. And you work in the area of your talent. That is where you work with passion. Your work will not be tedious. And you're able to do certain things which other people may not find easy to do. So you have to work in the area of your talent and of your skill. There's need for continuous and never-ending improvement principle. It's a German principle, Kanai. It is continuous and never-ending. In Pharma News, we are ensuring that each edition is better than the previous one. At the end of edition, we criticize, we go through and identify areas of improvement so that the next edition will be an improvement. Your business must be improving without break. Of course, this is business. You must depend upon God. From my personal experience, I have discovered that true success does not depend on your ability, your intelligence, your education, or your connections. It does not depend upon the consultants you have or your advisors. No. These have their own rules. But if you want to succeed, depend upon God. Pray for God's guidance. Pray for God's direction. And then He will tell you what to do. There's no consultant that knows better than God. God is the author of your success. So it is not the environment. You must commit your plans to God. Yes. In management, we say that if you don't plan, then you have already planned to fail. God wants us to plan. We don't need the planning for God, but you present your plan to God. He has said that He is the one who will establish your thoughts and guide you. And when your plans are in line with some plans for your life, that is success. And finally, I advise what I have done in my own business is to make God the owner of my business. I report to God since I have no other boss, and I take directions from Him. What He has asked me to do, I have to do it. And I have come to understand that when I'm serving people, it is actually God I'm serving. And the reward and blessing will always come from God. Thank you very much for giving me this time. Once again, let me appreciate Getz Pharma. and then the audience here. Thank you very much. God bless all of you.
Thanks for the presentation. All our participants are taking notes section and drop your question. The questions will be collated, and at the end of the presentations, the questions will be attended to. So I'm going to introduce the second, is the person of pharmacist Folashade Olawal. So the second speaker for today, pharmacist Folashade Olawal, please get your slides ready. Pharmacist Folashade Olawal is the managing director of Victory Drugs, and she's a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, a fellow of the Institute of Corporate Administration. She's also a fellow of the Commonwealth Professional, and she's a member of the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria, Association of Lady Pharmacists, Commonwealth Pharmacists, International Pharmaceutical Federation, popularly known as FIP. She is an associate member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. Professionally, she has held the following positions: Vice Chairman, Clinical Pharmacists Association of Nigeria, Lagos branch. They call it CPAM. Then she's a former chairman, Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria, ACPN, Amuwo Zone, and of course, a clinical coordinator, Farm Alliance, Nigeria's premier retail pharmacy business network. She has the following awards: May and Baker Professional Award in Pharmacy, Outstanding Service to Drug Information Center Award by the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria. Pharmacist Lawal is a strong advocate of preventive health, rational use of medicines, and collaborative practice. She's a member of the Scripture Union and married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Pharmacist Folashade Olawal to speak to us this afternoon on realities of surviving unforeseen situations as a retail business. So she's going to be talking to us from the retail pharmacy angle. So Pharmacist Folashade Olawal, you're welcome on board. Pharmacist Folashade Olawal, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, but I'm muted.
Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
You can unmute yourself. Just look at the unmute button and click on it.
Yes, it's not allowing me. It wasn't doing that before. Okay.
We can see you. Please share your screen. Okay. Then please do full screen show so that we can enjoy your presentation.
Can you see me now?
Yes.
Now.
Yes, you are okay.
Distinguished colleagues, my senior colleagues in the House, I'm particularly grateful to Getz Pharma for this opportunity. And I want to also appreciate Sapa Atweyi, who incidentally is one of my fathers in pharmacy, and he has done a great justice to the topic at hand. So I'll just follow with my own example from Victory Drugs. We'll just look at this slide to review or refresh our memory about the economic impact of COVID-19 as it is being said. And we can see here the forecast, the old forecast, the new forecast, and the dwindling economy, the fall. And then it's been predicted that the pandemic will get Nigeria into a bigger level of poverty. Reject that in Jesus' name. We pray that it will not happen, and we can actually stop that from happening. We can decide that we will not get poorer as a nation by praying and working hard at it. So let's briefly look at the worst hit sectors: the entertainment industry, the leisure, travel, transportation, banking and finance. They have been the worst hits. And yeah, the not so badly hit, the pharma industry, healthcare, and all that. Now let's look at the challenges that COVID-19 has brought our way. The country got locked down. That was a very big challenge. Interstate movement was stalled. Public responded negatively. Uncertainty filled the air. Healthcare products became scarce and expensive. The prices became prohibitive. Drugs, PPEs, healthcare professionals were scared, patients were scared, suppliers changed credit policies, and prices climbed very high. I wish to depict the public response to COVID-19 this way. There was panic. Some of them denied that there was anything called COVID. And some people just became indifferent to it, and we had to cope with all of this set of people. So I will take us briefly through the Victory Drugs response. For us, we has talked extensively about the role of God. In Victory Drugs, we do not joke with that. As a matter of fact, our number one core value is godliness. We owe a lot to God, and we settle a lot in the place of prayer. So we had to step up prayer. We had more prayer time than we were having before. And it is said that a wise man builds his house upon the rock. For the over 30 years of our existence, it's been God and God all the way. We do not trade that, we do not joke with it. So we did more of praying for God to give us insight, for God to give us direction, and we are grateful to God for how He has. We had to step up safety precautions, and we know that adopting safety measures shows that we care, not only for the public, but for our staff. And we all know that when you care, people are motivated. So we did everything we could to show that we cared. The first thing we did, we built a section outside where they could wash their hands and dry. We provided a PPE for them to stay under while waiting outside because of social distancing. And we made sure there were seats at social distancing to observe. And in the pharmacy, we did not allow too many people in because of social distancing. And we had a lot of advert around what they should do for personal protection and protecting ourselves as well. Despite the challenges of COVID, we made sure that we stuck to our core values. Like I said, our number one core value is godliness. One of them is professionalism. We are known for professionalism, and we made sure that we stuck to it. We still insisted on prescription for prescription drugs, and we guided our patients in the use of medicine. It was a Herculean task, but we did it. We did it because we had a lot of relationship with doctors and prescribers. So those who didn't have prescriptions, we linked them to those who could sort that out. We also followed up on patients who had been on chronic management. Some of the patients that from higher institutions, tertiary institutions. We listened with their consultants, and they gave us permission to renew their prescriptions monthly for now. So we did all we could to make sure that our core values remained intact and the business also was not traded. So we were able to make a very good amalgamation of that. Some patients that, like I said, physicians or other healthcare professionals, everybody naturally got scared somehow along the line. Patients who were scared to see, to go to the doctors. So we had to make a hybrid. We had to build a bridge between the prescriber and the patient. And we did that more through online. We embraced and sold the idea of online consultation, not only to patients, but also to doctors. We got them interested in at least managing their patients online. So that takes me to technology. Obviously, the world is changing. And my big question to you this afternoon is, are you changing? We have to adopt some changes. There's only one thing that we never change, and that is change itself. So there's a need for us to step up now technology-wise. And it's interesting to find out that many of the conditions we manage can be managed online. They don't even need to get to the pharmacy to sort out some of these, a good number of these conditions. And some of the people we rush to the pharmacy to see, we may not even need to see them. I recall somebody who just called me and said, Mrs. Lawa, it's very important I see you. Are you in the pharmacy? And I said, sorry, I'm not. Is there anything I could do for you? And she said, I'm into network marketing. I said, excuse me, that's not something that you need to come to the pharmacy to see before. Probably formally, I would have just given an appointment and come here to listen to network marketing. So there's a lot that we can do, including medication therapy management we have successfully done online. We are devising means to continue our referral online, and we are giving information to our patients on what we did was to make sure that we had pharmacists dedicated to online. We got new lines for it, and we dedicated them to that online. So patients could come in, get their drug therapy problems identified through these pharmacists, get them resolved through these pharmacists. Once in a while, we needed to, if I go home, I had to go see a patient, an elderly patient, to sort out her drug therapy because she was seeing so many physicians and she had so many drugs, some of them the same with different names, and she was elderly, 80 plus, she was depressed, she was suffering from so many side effects, so I had to go to sort that out. Everything, I mean, this conversation started online. So that tells us that there has to be flexibility in what we do. Stubborn on division, that is what we are. But we are flexible. We went a step further, we got a check, and we told them, look, for those in first staff, we will do free delivery. And we've been doing free delivery depending on, well, we put a little bar to the amount of money that they could spend to get free delivery. And then for those outside first staff, they had to pay a token to get their drugs delivered, because we know that many of these people with chronic diseases have to casualties and others. So we want them at home as much as possible, but we also want to meet their needs. So apart from setting up the delivery system, we also went on to make sure that we were meeting their information needs. How was this possible? Because we had data. That is one thing that we do not trade. When we see patients, we get their data. When they give us calls, we save their numbers. For those who volunteer their names to save their names. If they don't volunteer their names to save that name against something. So when this happened, we're able to form online WhatsApp groups dedicated to different categories of people. We have Victory Mothers Group, we have Victory 50 Plus. We bring in consultants to talk to them on their conditions, and it's been very, very rewarding. We didn't leave ourselves out of the care. God says we should love others as we love ourselves. That means that love starts with you. It starts with us. So we make sure that we protected our staff maximally. We make sure that we cared for them. We first of all identified those that were likely at risk for high COVID complications in case by chance COVID came. So those were the people that we kept at home first and trained them to relate from home. You know, by the virtue of what we do as community pharmacists, we just had to still be there for the people. We still had to be open somehow. So we didn't get everybody to go and work at home. We're a little different from Pharma News there. We could not get everybody to go and work at home. But we selected those that will work at home. We selected based on their risks too, and then we put them at home to work. And those with less risk worked on the site. And we all put in our best. We worked together as a team that we have always been. So talking about going the extra mile, we need to go the extra mile now. It's about the patients. It is about caring. I always tell my staff, we always train ourselves to say, when you see a patient or somebody walks into Victory Drugs, what comes into your head first should be, how can I care for this person? Not how much money can I get out of this person? And that has helped us a great deal. And the patients are happy that we are caring for them in every way possible. Online, some of them we had to even teach them what to do with the WhatsApp. We went that mile. And then we get them, those cannot even afford to pay to see doctors. We had doctors that were willing to help to see them online and manage them online, and we're still co-managing. We also made sure that we stepped up information to them on protection, especially as far as immunization is concerned. We have a vaccine unit, and we helped mothers to know that if you are afraid to go out there, you can come to us for your vaccines. We work with doctors to manage a vaccine center. Now, we also did a little bit of business. We compared our figures by weeks, and we compared them between 2018, 2019, 2020 for informed decision. We also looked at this year alone, vis-a-vis pre-COVID lockdown and post-COVID lockdown. And we looked at what was happening to our sales graph. This is interesting, really. The month of the lockdown, the very week, there was a very high rise in sales. It would have been higher than that, but we controlled it. We controlled it because we made people understand that drugs can get spoiled. There's no point keeping drugs at home, and then your doctor might change your management. If the doctor changes your management, what happens to the drug? So we encourage them not to stock more than, those of chronic conditions, not to stock more than will last them for 3 months. And that is why there was a drop, because some of them had what would last them for quite a while. So there was a drop and it started picking again. So what we did was to focus on the patients more than on our figures. Yes, our figures are important, but the Bible tells me, I will always refer to it, that you seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, other things will follow. So it's more about our patients. What is the best thing to do for our patients? So we monitored them, we encouraged them, we did not allow them to overstock, and some of them actually their drugs were changed. So when the drugs get changed, what happens to the ones that you have bought? Because we have a policy not to take back those drugs that have been at home, because you never can tell what has happened to them. So let me conclude by saying that business sustainability is a three-wheel vehicle. It's driven by godliness, selflessness, and discipline. And I give all glory to Almighty God, who gives power and wisdom to make wealth. I want to again appreciate Getz Pharma for putting this together. My distinguished colleagues out there, if you're not there, then this time would have been a wasted time. Farm Alliance family for your support. Oluwamayomi who designed these slides, and of course the Almighty God, the creator of all things. Thank you all and God bless.
Thank you very much, Pharmacist Fola Shadelawa, for that beautiful presentation. Honestly, if you look at the two presentations that have been made, you will see one or two common denominators, like God. God is very important in whatever we need to do. In fact, the book of life made us to understand that without him, we can do nothing. So it is very important. Then, of course, the issue of core values needed to be stuck to. You need to stick very much to your the core values of your establishment so that you can actually proceed. And of course, it is important for us to also be proactive. You can imagine Pharma News, assuming Pharma News was not online or had not been online, what do you think will have happened during the pandemic? It will have been difficult, sort of. But because Pharma News had been proactive and had been online, it was very, very easy. So once again, we want to appreciate you for that brilliant presentation. I want to join us. Please just drop your question via the Q&A box. Drop your questions there. Your questions will be adequately addressed at the end of this presentation appropriately. Because of our time, we are moving straight to the panelists. The panelists, we have 3 of them. Each of them will be speaking for just 5 minutes. The first person that we are going to have is pharmacist Olaide Abimbola Shoeton. I'm going to quickly read her brief profile while she's getting set for to share her slide. Pharmacist Olaide Abimbola Shoeton is the Managing Director, NHC Pharmaceutical Limited. She has an MBA Business School, Netherlands. She's a former regional manager, Biofem Pharmaceuticals. Then she has professional certification in the following: certificate in entrepreneurial management, Entrepreneurial Development Center of Pan Atlantic University, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And of course, talking about initiative, Sisi Alagbo, to help achieve the ultimate goal of a healthy lifestyle with validated herbal remedies, validated, underlined, wholesale foods and alternative medicine. Our hobbies include reading, philately, and plangonology. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to introduce to us Pharmacist Olaide Abimbola Shoeton as she speaks to us within the next 5 minutes. She's going to talk to us on leveraging on the role of technology in business continuity. So, Pharmacist Shoeton, you have the floor. Pharmacist Shoeton, kindly share your screen.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, so I'll be sharing the lessons from the pandemic, building a resilient business from the NHC's perspective. And these are some things that have been tested and they've been known to work. And the two speakers made mention of some of these things that I already have on my slides. So that's just to say that some of these things are the same everywhere. So it's not like they're new to NHC or they're peculiar to any particular industry. So before I go on, I would like to say thank you to the management and staff of Getz for giving us this opportunity to share our experience. It's not every day that you get this kind of opportunity. So I want to say thank you. So I'll briefly talk about the strategies, but I won't go in depth because these are things that have already been mentioned by both the speakers that spoke earlier. That's Pam Atueye and Pam Lawal. So what strategies do you adopt in a pandemic situation? And I think the thing that resonates true is that there is a recession, and it's a global one that has been unprecedented since the Great Depression. So it's something that is new. Everybody is trying to adjust, but recession is not new. Okay, so the same principles that people use to overcome recession are also the same ones that people are embracing, because I really don't think there's any template for surviving in a pandemic situation. So it's a recession, which is the common denominator that we are all using as a baseline. So the strategies: one, you establish clear goals and targets. It's important to have a target. Sometimes I speak to some of my customers and some of them don't actually have a monthly target. Now, if you don't have a monthly target, how do you know how well you're doing? How do you review? How do you adopt strategies to bring you closer to what you want to do or where you want to get to? So it's important to have clear goals and a defined target. Of course, it's not enough to have a target. You must have periodic reviews. Okay? You can't just have a target and then it's hanging in the vacuum. You must review. How well did we do? Is it 20% behind target? Is it 20% above target? We need to have periodic reviews, and you may need to have like a small team with some of your staff. Okay? It shouldn't be only you. You need to get the buy-in of your staff. Cohort them into whatever you're doing so that they know that it's a shared target. It's not something that only you need to work on. Everybody needs to work on. And when we say something is teamwork, that means everyone contributes in one way or the other to make sure that we all get to the common goal for the organization. Now, aside working on your targets, trying to increase sales, you must equally plug all loopholes, because when there is panic in the air, everybody is worried about how do I make it? There's inflation. The money I'm taking home, is it going to be enough to take me home? You know, so you start seeing there could be high level of pilferage among staff and sometimes even customers. Okay, so all those kind of loopholes you need to block. You reduce wastage. Products that are about to expire, what do? Do you just you may need to make a decision to reduce the prices so that it goes up instead of it expiring on your shelf. Okay, so things that you will have bought before, like you're buying ink almost every time, and it's all your staff that come to the office to come and print their documents, especially if you have students, and then all the manuals they want to print, or the photocopies they want to make, they come to the office to make that. So things like that you need to reduce. You reduce wastage, and as much as possible, you need to stay lean. This is not the time to make frivolous expenses. You know, you see a fancy chair and you're like, okay, that chair will be nice in my reception. Okay, that is not the time to start buying those things. You just have to limit whatever you're making, your purchasing to be things that you need, not wants. So you have to separate your needs from your wants in a recession. So you have to stay lean. Okay, and because every naira, every note, every currency that you can lay your hand on, you need. Now also, You have to be nimble. That means being quick on your feet. There are some decisions that you really need to make by with the drop of a hat, because if you don't make those decisions, you may lose out. Now, this is not the time that you say, okay, we're having management meeting at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter. That's where we are going to make that decision. And that's why in this kind of situation, you see most smaller organizations thrive better, because they don't have the bureaucracy that is associated with larger organizations getting approvals before things are done. So you need to be very, very fast in thinking, okay, this product, you can see that, okay, recently I noticed that some of these products that were associated with COVID, okay, the prices went up at the time, and then you have seen that there's been a sharp drop in prices. So do you want to keep holding on to those stock, or you just want to drop the price and let it go and recoup whatever money that you can recoup? This is not the time to start saying you need to get approval from management, whether you need to sell at this price, because if you don't sell at this price, that you have this the best offer you've had so far in a while, why not sell? Okay, pick the money, use it to buy something else, and then you make the extra profit from another product. So you have to be able to make decisions fast in a recession. Of course, I made mention of this earlier. I said employee engagement and buying is important, and Farm Lawal equally said that whatever strategies, whatever targets that you're having, you need to have your employee engagement. They need to buy into it. You need to discuss with them. This is the reason why we are taking this decision. This is what we are doing right now. And then, of course, their welfare is equally important, because if you don't want them to start looking for ways of making extra change for their own pockets, you must look after their welfare, whichever way that your whatever your capacity is able to do within the organization, so that they know that despite the fact that you're in a challenging situation, you still care about them, and they see what you're doing, you're explaining to them, and then they know that it's a temporary situation, and hopefully we'll all be able to wade through. So the role of technology, well, we cannot overemphasize this end. One of the things that we noticed while during the lockdown was that while almost everybody was not going out, companies they had activated their technology, for people to be able to reach them without having to come to their offices physically, were the ones that actually tried. We're at home, we're paying for DSTV, because now at the click of the button from your phone, you can do it. You don't have to go to their office physically. Even when you have complaints, you don't have to physically visit. There are channels that you can explore, okay? We're paying for airtime from your bank accounts. Everything has been synchronized. Now imagine if you as an organization had something similar in place. Of course, when the lockdown came, your customers will have already been used or accustomed to reaching you via the alternative channels, and then you will not have had to suffer such a loss with the drop in the footfall at the pharmacies. There was a day I was stopped by a policeman, and then he was asking why I was moving around. I said, okay, one, I'm an healthcare provider, so I am supposed to have easy access. But what of the customer, what of the patient that needs to get to the pharmacy? And then the policeman was saying something like, well, I expect that they would have bought their drugs. I said, what if they went out of a drug? Or what if, he said, but you see someone, you know the person is ill. I said, no, this is not the time that it's only when you are ill that you need to go to the pharmacy. Sometimes you are not ill, but you need to get some drugs in order not to fall ill. So we shouldn't, so the customers also did not know what they were likely to meet. The patient didn't know what they were likely to meet while trying to go to the pharmacies. Some of them actually wanted to go, but they didn't have the pass or the necessary, is it permits now or clearance to be able to move. So they couldn't come to most of the pharmacies. And that's when we also all noticed a drop in sales. Funny enough, the slide where Farm Lawal showed on the sales trend, It's quite similar to what we also had. Okay, in March we saw that there was a sharp spike, and then in April was a drastic drop, and I think that most likely will be similar to what most people had on their end. So if you have not embraced technology, this is the time to do that. You need to go digital. You don't have to wait till a customer comes into your pharmacy before you sell. Okay? How do you expand your reach beyond your physical pharmacy? Your pharmacy now is brick and mortar. Now you need to have an online pharmacy, an online space, presence. Okay, an online presence. Sometimes ago, about 3 years ago, we organized a program for pharmacies and other healthcare providers on social media, how to go on social media for their businesses. And we saw that a lot of people were hesitating then. Was like, okay, what about the ethics of the profession? But we're able to navigate people through how to do it professionally. You don't have to go online to be talking about ethical products. We know the limits. And of course, as pharmacists, we will know how to engage people in such a way that we will not bridge or will not overstep our boundaries as professionals. So through that program, we saw that a lot of people that attended were able to open social media accounts, and then some of them have been able to follow up on their progress over time. I've seen a lot of activities, a lot of traction on their sites, on their pharmacy sites online, and that's a good one. So now that everybody is now asking for products, and then good enough, we have logistics companies that are able to take products from one place to the other without the pharmacists having to be the one to take it physically, or even the patient coming into the pharmacy. People like that have been able to latch on to that opportunity, and then some of them were able to make sales beyond their pharmacy. So if you are yet to be there, please, I don't think you even need anybody to counsel you anymore. We have seen that in this new age, in the new dispensation, in the new reality, this is something that you just cannot do without. So online presence is not only social media, WhatsApp. Okay, how do you get to the customer that is locked up in the house for 2 Hello? Hello?
Yes, go on, ma'am. Can I hear you?
Hello? Okay.
Please go ahead.
Hear you.
So email marketing. Okay. I was just trying to check whether I'm still connected. Email marketing. Now, this is another way of reaching out to customers. Email marketing, you have some products you want to bring to their awareness. You have a program that you're doing, okay, within your pharmacy, like you're celebrating a particular World Health Day, could be a World Malaria Day. You could send emails to all your customers, and then there are email marketing channels that you can take advantage of. Some of them are even free, or some have a particular number of free mails that you can send on a monthly basis. And there's a likelihood that you may not even exhaust some of the freebies that they give to you. So you don't necessarily even have to pay. So there are cheap ways of reaching out to your customers. And for email marketing, you even go beyond your own customers. When you get some, you attend programs, people that come to your stand, people that you have come in contact with at one point or the other, when you send these emails to them, over time, some of them even tend to look forward to it. And then if they need to contact you, they can easily get to those emails, retrieve them, and get your details. Another one is the online store. Now, a lot of retail pharmacies may not be able to really do, but there are some cheap services online. They can just have like 2 or 3 pages. I mean, there was a time that Google took some people through this. some time ago, but I think that was overhauled. But now there is my shop online, so you can have that. There's also WhatsApp for business, where you can have like a catalog of products that you're trying to promote. But let me warn you that some of these sites, if they see drugs, especially the ones that are ethical, they might not allow some of those things to be posted. So you have to be careful. You have to be a bit, don't let me say crafty, but you have to be a bit diplomatic in
You
the
have
way
a
you approach
minute
some
more,
of these things.
please.
Okay,
1
thank you.
minute more.
So, and finally, the wholesaler's perspective. Now, what is key during this period is inventory management, because we all know that inventory is the life of our business. Okay, that is what we sell. That is what we all have in common. Okay, so it's very important that you manage your inventory. Okay, this is not the time to start having obsolete stock. You want to increase the number of times that you order. It's better you order small, but increase the frequency of ordering. Okay, so that you can free up cash. You don't just have money sitting on your shelves. When you need the money, you need to be able to quickly turn the inventory around to free up cash, to be able to buy the things that people want. Also, product or service differentiation. Well, I'll say product-wise, almost most pharmacies almost have almost the same thing, but you can have a different mix. Okay, these products are not really unique to you. Like if I have Emzor paracetamol, it's the same Emzor paracetamol that everybody has in each pharmacy. But along the service line, you can differentiate yourself. Okay.
Thank you very much for that beautiful presentation. The role of ICT cannot be overemphasized. If you look at all the speakers so far, they've spoken so much about ICT, so we cannot overemphasize it. If you are not ICT compliant, you are likely to be out of business. So ICT must be embraced. Because of our time, I'm moving straight to the second panelist. Please, you have just 5 minutes. Pharmacist Chiedu Omodi. Please, let's get the slides on. Then while I make a brief, while I read his brief profile, Pharmacist Chiedu Omodi, Esquire, is the managing director of Coca Pharmacy, Benin. He's a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He's a member and chairman of the investigating panel of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. And of course, he's the immediate past chairman of the Board of Fellows of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. He's the chairman, Law and Ethics Committee, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Pharmacist Chiedu Omodi was called to the Nigerian bar in 1990 after receiving his LLB certificate from the Nigerian Law School. Coca Pharmacy was founded in 1984 and now has a wholesale and 5 retail outlets. So join me to welcome pharmacist Chiedu Omodi. He's going to be talking to us on workforce motivation as a strategic lever for business growth. So pharmacist Chiedu Omodi, you have the floor, sir. Are you there, sir? Yes, we are waiting for you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Well, I thank the organizers, and I better go straight since I have very, very limited time. For an organization to exist, it must have what you call factors of production, whether the products or services. And the four major factors of production are then land, capital, entrepreneurship, and labor. Of these four factors of production, labor is the most important because of the centrality of labor, the workforce in an organization, from raw material along throughput to the finished product. Labor is pivotal to the operations of an organization. And so it is very, very important that the labor factor in the organization is taken very seriously. Labor is of great concern because it is a complicated and complex unit in an organization. It was Frederick Taylor, the father of scientific management, who says that man is an economic being. And so you see that the labor force is an economic being. Apart from man being an economic being, he's a social being. He's a psychological being, an emotional being, and even a spiritual being. And so to get man to work effectively and efficiently, you have to motivate him. And there have been many theories of motivation. We shall go through them, and you see the application in organizations. Although the applications of these may be different in small organizations from big organizations. Motivation essentially is what management does to align the needs, the expectations of the labor force coming into organization, to align them with the needs, aims, aspirations of the organization. Otherwise, you will discover that the demands, the expectations of the labor force, workforce might be at cross purposes with the aspirations of an organization. Many theories have propounded ways of motivating the workforce. The most important of all this is that propounded by Abraham Maslow, who looked at the needs of the workforce and put them in a hierarchy, and propounded that when you satisfy the lower needs, another one comes up until the higher needs are achieved. And these lower needs are the biological needs: food and shelter, safety, recognition, self-actualization, and self-fulfillment. The same with the theory, approximately the same with the theory of Herzberg. Herzberg, in his research, looked at those things that excite the workforce, and then he grouped them into two parts, and he named some. He named some those that motivate and those that don't motivate. They are satisfiers. Those, like what like the environment where a worker works. Where a worker works, you can paint it, you can brighten it up. These can only reduce dissatisfaction from the workforce, but it will not motivate him. It will not motivate him. And so he emphasizes that when you are motivating the worker, in order to put in his best for the organization, you have to emphasize those things that have to do with his work itself and not the environment of the work. The work itself has to do with his growth space. You have to provide this for the workforce so that you assure him that there's growth possibility, there's advancement, there's recognition in his work. And these are the motivating factors. There are other things managers do which do not really motivate. You increase salary, you increase security, you modify the working environment. All these can only reduce dissatisfaction, but will not increase satisfaction. And these are termed hygiene factors. And these hygiene factors will not enable a worker to put in his best. All these also we can draw from the theory of McGregor. McGregor talked about the theory X. The theory X is when you look at a staff as being wicked, as being unproductive, as being a lazy person, and only wanting leisure. That is not going to motivate, is likely to discourage the workforce and will not enable him to put in his best. But the theory Y of McGregor says that if you make the workforce, the staff, realize that he is good, he's appreciated, he's willing to work, and he has something to offer, then and only then is he able to put in his best. At this period of COVID-19, we need to bring in the workforce to accept the goals of the organization so that they identify with them, align with them, and work with them, rather than pursue their private goals, private demands, and private expectations. And it is only through motivation that the workforce can be brought in line to see the way the organization sees their own goals. It is self-delusion to think that a workforce that does not believe in the goal of an organization will work efficiently and effectively to promote the goals of the organization. When the COVID-19 came in, it came as a bang. It came forcefully and without notice. And so it required the input of a well-motivated staff to continue with the work of the organization to achieve the goals of the organization. If the staff were not motivated, there would have been excuses to stay out of work. There would have been excuses not to identify with the goals of an organization. The organizations have character, they have principles, they have core values, and then they have aspirations. With motivation, you are able to sustain your staff who will learn these values, these characters, and to be able to effect them when required. It is important to motivate staff so that they don't fight in pushing their own goals ahead of that of the organization. During the COVID-19, many things were quite challenging. Supplies was irregular and the usual supplies were not available. One had to look around and it will require dedicated, well-motivated staff to push ahead to achieve the goal of an organization. The need of motivating the organization staff becomes imperative so that at no time they don't need to be pushed again because the COVID brought in unusual situations where even management may not be working with the workforce. And so the workforce would have been properly motivated will now be self-propelling to achieve those characters that have imbibed in the course of the activities. That makes it imperative that for an organization to move ahead for growth and to be able to confront challenges frontally and overcome, the motivated workforce has to be in place. Bringing the issue of motivation for the wholesale has been mentioned earlier, the demand pattern change, creating unusual stock out and pressure on the staff. In a bid to satisfy the upsurge, the staff had to take several initiatives that only commitment can lead one to do without being prompted to fill in vacuums, to fill in shortages so that the organization can operate smoothly and profitably. The COVID-19, as it also created stress and pressure on the workforce, it's those that have been well motivated that are able to go the extra mile as demanded in the aftermath or in the pendency of COVID-19. And
a minute more, sir.
Okay. So it is a staff, it is the workforce that is properly motivated, that has internalized the core values of an organization that can operate effectively during a pandemic as we now have it. Also, in the course of doing business, businesses have to accept that they have characters, establish good characters, establish good relationship, and of course, integrity, that a situation where there are challenges, one's organization can be a priority to suppliers and to people who patronize wholesales. So with the limited time, hoping that the question and answer will bring out more issues to be discussed in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Pharmacist Chidu Modi, for that brilliant presentation on motivating the workforce. Whether we like it or not, motivation is something that helps us in our businesses, in our various places of work. If you are not motivated, you are bound not to be at your best. The same thing, if you don't motivate your staff, you are likely not to get the best out of your staffers. So thank you very much once again for that presentation. I want to go straight to the last presentation for today. Pharmacist Dr. Albert Kellogg Akali, sorry. I'm going to briefly read his profile. Pharmacist Akali is the MD CEO based in Abuja. He's the immediate past national chairman of the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria. He's a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists, a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants. He holds a diploma in strategic management, international business management from International Business Management Institute, Berlin. He is the chairman, Gamal Unity and Development Organization, FCT branch. He is the Secretary General, Healthcare Provider Association, HCPAN, FCT branch. He is a member of 7 professional bodies, including the Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association, African Business School, Rotary Club of Wuse Central, Abuja, Board of Directors, Divine Mercy Hospital, Shendam. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Dr. Albert Kellogg, as he makes his presentation within the next 5 minutes. So Dr. Albert, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, our capable moderator. I'm so happy today to be on this panel, and I would like to thank Getz Pharma for this wonderful webinar. The presenters before me have done justice to the topic, and I'm so, in fact, I am happy to learn a lot from what the presentation met so far. My own presentation is just a cap to what has been done, because most of the things have actually been taken care of. I'll be looking at the regulatory impact in this present new normal. Now, if you talk of regulation, pharmacy practice is regulated by the Pharmacists Council, which deals with licensure of pharmacists to practice, and the environment of practice, and also enforcement and disciplinary actions. The NAFDAC also handles the regulation of products, licensure, and also product regulation. NDLA indirectly regulate our practice by looking at controlled medicines, especially the illicit use of controlled medicines. Generally, as a pharmacist, we're professionals. We need to be licensed to be able to practice. So licensure by regulatory organizations is quite key. In the present normal COVID-19 period, the regulatory bodies have to are saddled with the need to apply, to be able to implement the guidelines relating to compliance to COVID-19. The need for premises to have enough space, social distancing, the need for premises to put safety measures to protect staff and pharmacists on duty, the need for us to educate our community on the present new normal, the pandemic. So education, we have to, pharmacists need to do a lot of reading to be able to appreciate the current pandemic and to also link it to our practice so that we will not be put at risk. Safety in practice areas. The regulatory authorities, in carrying out their functions, ensure safety. We as pharmacists too, community pharmacists, there's a need for us to ensure that our practice areas are safe, not only to ourselves, but to the clients and patients that are coming to our premises. And then we need to also put in place disease preventive measures. All these things were taken for granted in those days. But with this new normal, it's become imperative for us to ensure that we have disease preventive measures, cleaning of door handles, cleaning of fridge handles, cleaning of our dispensing areas with antiseptics to ensure that we do not transmit diseases or contract diseases from clients coming in. And the use of IT and telepharmacy, I want to assure you that with this present new normal, previous speakers have mentioned this, we need IT more than any other period. I know that in my premises, a lot of calls come in to make inquiries, to get educated on the disease, and to also find out whether we have certain products in place. So if you are not online, if you don't have your telephone system in place, then you'll be missing out in this, and then you wouldn't be serving your community. The appreciation of CP's roles in general health as a member of the health team. Before the dawn of COVID-19, people come in, you consult, you give them medications, you carry out all the pharmaceutical care necessary to ensure that they get the best out of their medications. But I want to tell you that in this present new normal, most patients do not even want to go to the hospital unless if you, as a professional, as a pharmacist, you see that the patient has gross symptoms that requires medical intervention, that needs them to go to the hospital, they most likely, in most cases, they will just tell you, please, pharmacist, I don't want to go to the hospital. Do what you can to make sure that I get well. Of course, we need to refer when we see that there are gross symptoms of diseases that need to be attended to in the hospital. And then new areas of entrepreneurial compounding. I know that the COVID-19 has forced me to, I'm a consultant in drug production and quality control, but honestly, since my graduation, I've not really done any preparations or production of medications or any form of drug. But I was forced to start producing hand sanitizers and a good quality hand sanitizer for that matter, and also start producing soaps. All these new practice areas are areas that we can catch in as pharmacists to expand our role and our contributions to the community.
Is Dr. Albert still there? Dr. Albert, can you hear me?
Okay, I think that was his last slide, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Albert, for that beautiful presentation. We have had it all. And if you look at all the presentation, one thing is common, and that is the issue of ICT. We cannot run away from it, like I said at the beginning. If you are not ICT compliant, you are likely to be out of business. Your contemporaries are likely to overtake you, and you are likely, to be depressed at the end of the day. So we must take ICT as something that is very important for our businesses to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are trying to segregate the questions, I would like to we want to briefly take a presentation from pharmacist Kehinde. So he's going to make a brief presentation to us while we are trying to segregate the question to know who and who is going to answer it. So Kehinde Bankole, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Fam. Olabode. Many thanks to the excellent Faculty of speakers and panelists that we've had today. It's been a wonderful 1 hour, 30 minutes of learning. In the next 10 minutes, we will be looking at how Getz Pharma has been iterating to make sure that it stays ahead of its commitment to ensure all patients, all Nigerians, irrespective of their social status, have access to quality medications. We would also be looking at one of the newer medications that we have in Getz Pharma and how it continues to provide support and help Getz Pharma in its achievement of its goals and realities. But before I commence, more than ever before, the world depends entirely on healthcare professionals, especially pharmacists, while we have our colleagues in the industry trying to find the vaccine that would end what we now refer to as the new normal. We have our colleagues in community pharmacy providing life-saving services, ensuring that there is no break in the supply of quality medications. And then we have us and the rest of us trying to move with the new normal, which in a response to that is what we have in Getz Pharma today as the Getz Pharma Velocity, which brings this learning opportunity to healthcare professionals all around the globe. This is one of the local Getz Pharma Velocity programs targeted mainly at pharmacy. After about 3 or 4 that we've done in the Nigerian market, we continue to ensure that access to quality medicines remain uninterrupted, and our manufacturing site is WHO pre-qualified. As at today, in less than 10 years, we have more than 52 products registered in the Nigerian market across 6 broad categories, including cardiovascular, where we have the Advant and Advantech, which continues to help hypertensive patients that are at risk of cardiovascular complications. We have amlodipine, AMLO, we have Tasmi, Telmisartan, and Rovista. Across the diabetes range, we have the world acclaimed Trivia, sitagliptin, the first sitagliptin in the Nigerian market, amongst vildagliptin, Vilget, that continues to help patients to maintain their blood sugar. We also have glimepiride in the form of Getril, Olifit, Olistat. Across the gastrohepatology, we have Gezome Insta, which is a unique preparation that has a combination of omeprazole and sodium bicarbonate. The anti-infective portfolio, we also have Getz Claritech, while anti-allergic, we have Saltrol Fortide, which are newer molecules in the Nigerian market. Fortide is budesonide formoterol that helps patients to either have immediate relief of asthma or control asthma, while Saltrol is salmeterol fluticasone that has been in the market for some time that helps patients to control their asthma. You can reach out to us across all countries. You can reply the email you get of Abigail Ojo for this meeting. If you need access to our product, you can reach out to any of our representatives close to you. But suppose you have a patient that comes to your pharmacy that needs a medication that will help them to be able to relieve bladder symptoms, or you have a medication or you have a patient that has symptoms of frequent urination, urgency, frequent incontinence, or nocturia. They wake up like twice in the night to urinate. What would you give this patient? That is a question that you may need to answer at this moment. I'm sure that we've all been faced with this question in the last couple of weeks, because this, according to the Urology Society in Nigeria, says that it's very common, especially with across all gender. When you have this kind of patient, you want to eliminate these symptoms of urinary urge incontinence. By the way, what is defined as overactive bladder? Overactive bladder is urgency with or without incontinence. urgency being that that patient cannot have a control over the urge to go and urinate. But then other symptoms include nocturia and frequency. So you want to reduce these symptoms, as it were. You want to reduce it on the whole, and you want to reduce it fast. You also want to ensure treatment compliance, because overactive bladder is not headache. It's not malaria that you can just treat within 2-3 days and you are off. It's a long-term disease condition that needs a medication that will be used over a long period of time. So you don't want to give a medication that would predispose the patient to so much side effects. So you want to also have a medication that they can use, and you want to also manage the patient expectation so that they are not thinking, once I start using this medication that this pharmacist has recommended or this doctor has used or prescribed for me, they are not thinking that by tomorrow, by the day after, the symptoms would go away. So in treatment, in therapy for overactive bladder, non-pharmacologic therapy is the first line. But majority of the patients do not respond to non-pharmacologic therapy. What are the non-pharmacologic therapy? You advise them to reduce the intake of caffeine. You advise them to reduce their intake of sugar. You also advise them to probably do bladder exercises, hold their urine, do Kegel exercises. But the mainstay of medical therapy are anticholinergic drugs. Anticholinergic drugs include the sulfenacin molecule, which is the second generation and newer agent of anticholinergic drugs used in overactive bladder. And why are anticholinergic drugs the mainstay of therapy? Because it's out of the 5 muscarinic receptors that are implicated in the blood in micturition, the process of urination. Only M2 and M3 are found in the bladder. M2, which comprises of 80% of the muscarinic receptors, actually is responsible for like 20% of the micturition process, while that 20% M3 is what is responsible for majority of the micturition process. So I present to you Solifen. Solifen is the first registered sulfenacin succinate in the Nigerian market as a once daily preparation as 5 milligram or 10 milligram. Solifen continues to give patients adequate relief over overactive bladder symptoms. Solifen is a selective M3 receptor antagonist, and this is a graphical representation, a pictorial representation of what happens in overactive bladder. You can see that the in the picture that has the overactive bladder, the bladder is half full, but yet there is overactivity of M3 receptors causing those symptoms that we discussed earlier. But with Solifen, the bladder is able to get at least almost full before the bladder ejects the content, and that is the work of Solifen. And why Solifen? Because Solifen is the most tolerable of the antimuscarinics in the market. And like we said, a long-term disease condition, a chronic disease condition, you really need a drug that would be the most tolerable of the anticholinergics. And then when it comes to efficacy, several landmark trials like the STAR trials and the Venus trials have re-emphasized that Solifen gives superior efficacy over other anticholinergics in the market. So how should those patients use Solifen when they come to your pharmacy? They should start with 5 milligrams for newly diagnosed patients. If there is no response within 2 to 4 weeks, then this can be increased to 10 milligrams once daily. A summary of everything we've discussed. Solifen is a selective M3 receptor antagonist that makes sure that patients that are on it have a very good quality of life with very good tolerability profile, and the interaction with food and oral contraceptives is extremely minimal. there is documented efficacy in treating overactive bladder symptoms. So when next you have that patient come to you that has symptoms of nocturia, that has symptoms of urgency, that has symptoms of frequency or urinary incontinence, I want you to help that patient to be able to assess this quality medication that Getz Pharma has also introduced to the market. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Pharmacist Bankole. Please, you are still going to do something for me, Pharmacist Bankole. Suddenly, my laptop began to do updates and restarted. So I'm just trying to quickly connect from my cell phone. So I know it's time for questions. Please, I will want you.
Okay, it seems we lost.
Because I'm just trying to quickly get where the questions are. So in order not to click with the question while the questions now.
That's fine. That's fine. So
yes,
can every panelist unmute and be on video while I take the first question? Okay, the first question is from an anonymous attendee. It's directed at Fam Lawal. Good evening, Fam Lawal. How were you able to sync with doctors in managing patients with chronic diseases during the lockdown?
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we have established collaborations with doctors. So the lockdown was just a lockdown as far as we were concerned. We had a pool of doctors that we relate. Once these patients come in, we clock them, we know who is managing them, and when they have issues, we serve as go-between. So we relate with their consultants. So it's something that's ongoing. Just during COVID that it started. So for our over 30 years of existence, we have built up that relationship. So we have a strong collaborative platform with consultants. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Fam Lawal. I think that does justice to it. Fam Lawal, are you back, sir?
Yes, thank you very much. I'll pick it up when it's time.
Okay, sir. So the second question is from Pam Obaka. How do I set a target when I'm not sure of the inflow? Can you share ideas on how better to get customers? I think this question can be answered by any of the panelists, including Fam Lawal. So how do I set a target when I'm not sure of the inflow? Would Fam Lawal or Fam Olaide help us with that?
Okay, so I already answered the person that sent that message.
Okay.
If you have never set targets before, then you have to start from where you are. What's your current month's revenue or sales income?
Okay. Thank you very much.
And then you can decide that you want to increase it either by a certain percentage or you want to maintain that for a period of maybe 1 month or two, stabilize and then gradually increase.
Okay, thank you, Fam Olaide. So that answers the question that to set a target when you are not sure of an inflow, you have to first review your previous month's revenue. Then you can plan and increase a certain percentage to maintain it. But then there's the second part. Can you share ideas on how better to get customers coming in. I guess there is ideas on how to increase traffic, patient traffic into the pharmacy.
Okay, I equally mentioned during my presentation that
We can't hear you,
you
ma.
have to differentiate yourself, okay, along the services that you offer. So let's say you operate in an environment, where
Ma, we are struggling to hear you. But can you come closer to the speaker? Okay. It's a bit better.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, loud and clear.
Okay, so I said, if you are operating in an environment where you have a lot of young couples and then most of them have just started giving birth, you may want to have a program for nursing mothers, how to educate them. You may want to organize something like antenatal classes where they have exercises, the kind of exercises that they need to engage in. So that will draw people, or if it's in an area where you have a lot of busy executives, on weekends, you may decide to have something like aerobics, something to draw them together, and then from there you can build on following up with them.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. From Dr. Akali and Famodi, do we have input to this? Because I know since it's more about community practice and customers, we may have some more input to it. Over to you, sirs.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Good. Well, I think that you can build up clientele by going by the adage that one good turn deserves another. Well, and that client is likely to inform another person and another person, and that is how the clientele grows. My organization, in my organization, we have never advertised. But I think that where we practice, people know us. And the people we attend to act as our public relations officers. We try to avoid unethical practices in the area of advertisement. And so my only advice is be honest with your clients. The practice of pharmacy is not about making money. It was mentioned in this conference that clients have been discouraged from buying and buying and buying. If somebody had that experience in your pharmacy, he's likely to tell another person, oh, in that pharmacy, I was given honest advice. And he's likely to come back. My people, okay, there's no way you treat somebody well that he will not come back to you, or that he will not tell another person about your goodness to him. I tell you a story. I have a friend, a pharmacist, and she complained to me once that she was very, very frustrated because her auntie, who knows that she's a pharmacist, instructed her to go to my pharmacy, to Coca Pharmacy, to get her the medicine she wanted. And she complained to me, and we didn't put up any billboard. We didn't do any of the modern things that people do. We just believe in doing what we think is the right thing, and that keeps going on and on and on. So I believe strongly that if you are nice to your clients, it will not end there. It will be propagated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If I can add to the discourse, basically, from my own experience, there are certain services that you offer that are quite unique that will ensure that your clients, your patients, always think of you. In my practice, we do a lot of BP checks and advise our hypertensive patients. We also do a lot of blood sugar tests and also advice. We also do cholesterol. All these added tests help to the pharmacist to be able to carry out his pharmaceutical care, which will, at the end of the day, ensure that patients benefit from their therapy, and it will encourage them to come back. I think these are basically the things that we need to do as community pharmacists to be able to encourage people to always think about us when they're thinking of pharmacotherapy or pharmacy services. And basically also, as community pharmacists, we need to do ruthless evaluation of our current position to be able to know where we're not faring too well, especially with the new normal, to be able to adjust and move ahead and deliver services that our community needs. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. All our panelists, our speakers, you have actually done well. We really appreciate you for all your contributions, and you gave us, you know, from your experience, you shared your experiences, and of course, you made us understand the fact that we can actually survive. Our businesses can survive during the pandemic. But the most important thing is that we should be prepared as if there's going to be a pandemic tomorrow. We should be prepared as if something unplanned is going to happen tomorrow. That is what will make us to be able to survive the test of time. And of course, one thing about us as pharmacists too, especially probably because of our training, is our ability to adjust to any situation that we find ourselves. I can, just like Dr. Kellogg was talking about the fact that he has had his consultancy in drug production and quality assurance, but he needed to put that to practice during the period of the pandemic, you know, having to make hand sanitizers, liquid hand wash, and all that. And I'm sure that even most of the pharmacies were also involved in preparation of extemporaneous preparations, like all the things that have been said, production of hand sanitizers, hand wash, and all that. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to really say that we thank you, but I want to bring up the business manager of Getz Pharma to actually do the vote of thanks. So business manager, Dr. Olontoba Funsho, are you there? Dr. Olontoba.
Good afternoon.
You are welcome, sir.
Yeah, many actually wish things don't come to an end, but definitely all things must come to an end. I want to believe that it is only politicians that don't want tenure to come to an end. When they begin to get to the end of their tenure, they wish it is actually prolonged. However, for everything, whatever you throw up, they must come down. It's the law of gravity. And so therefore, on this note, I think I just want to let you know that we begin this webinar and it has actually getting closer to an end. And so therefore, I also know very sure that even COVID has started since March, very soon I'm very sure by God's grace, it's also going to have an end, if you believe with me. And that is part of the reason why we are calling people on how to actually navigate these current situations. I want to thank the eminent speakers with resource and the panelists for their contribution, for actually giving us their own perspective as to how we could actually tackle this. I actually brought greeting from Getz Pharma to every participant too for their time and their support. I want to believe with what at least the event of today, we actually improve and better our practice. I want to say once again, thank you very much for all that you have done. Moderator, I want to say thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you on board today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, General Business Manager, for that wonderful vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, panelists, speakers,
For this, I also want to let the pharmacy know that WWCB is actually a distributor. They are the one that distribute for us. In case you are actually in need of any of our product, please, you can actually reach out to WWCB for any of your product and get at least your whatever you want replenished from your side. And thank you very much for your contribution.